particular broader market company. We have Wockhardt, which is the first management on the show. The company's investigational drug, Zaynich, or WCK-5222, has demonstrated its ability to cure a complex case of meningitis. It was used on a compassionate basis. To discuss this and more, on the possible out-licensing opportunities, we have with us Habil Khorakiwala, the chairman of Wockhardt, who's joining in now. Dr. Khorakiwala, thank you very much for taking the time out. Just wanted to start by getting a sense about how WCK-5222 or Zaynich, which is basically an antibiotic, a high-level antibiotic which is used in ICU settings. How did it help a patient with meningitis? What was the kind of recovery that we've seen in the patient? How long did it take?
This patient was put on all other known antibiotics, including some of the newer ones, which were not effective. Finally, a compassionate use was, it was given Zaynich, and the patient was completely cured, and it was given for 3 weeks, and then there were no sign of the Pseudomonas organism at the end of the period, and then it has been discharged. Actually, meningitis is a really life-threatening disease problem, and one of the advantages of Zaynich is it crosses blood-brain barrier, and that's why Zaynich was very effective, and it has a very high coverage against resistant organisms.
Well, Dr. Khorakiwala, I just wanted to understand that now it's been used for meningitis. It's already been used on a compassionate basis for over 30-odd patients, I understand, and that includes one in the US as well. What has been the recovery of all of these patients? And now we're talking about these patients, say 3 to 4 months or maybe a couple of months to a year down the line as well. Give us a sense in terms of where these patients stand post the usage of WCK-5222.
All these patients, 35 of them, the success rate was 100%. And there was no trace of original organism when the treatment was completed. And the duration of treatment was somewhere a minimum of 7 days and a maximum of 70 days. And this clearly suggests that the drug is extremely safe, in addition to be extremely effective.
Okay. Right. Well, Dr. Khorakiwala, it sounds like a miracle drug. It sounds like exactly what probably the world needs when it comes to AMR or antimicrobial resistance. So what is stopping approvals at this level, and maybe more commercial use? You've used it compassionately on 30 plus patients. When can we see it more commercialized? And out-licensing opportunities based on the kind of data that you've shown, companies should probably be lining up outside your door.
I think we are at the stage of completing phase 3 clinical trial, which is a global clinical trial. And this should get over in the next 2-3 months. And then we would be in a position to file globally in US and other countries. And that will happen after about 4-5 months of completion of clinical trial. So we expect to be in a global market sometime in 26.
Okay. So in the next 6 months, you'll be in the global market, is what you're saying?
26, I say.
26. Yes. You get that right.
Next about 18 months or so.
Okay. Could you give us a sense of the potential of the drug in terms of market value and also the out-licensing opportunities out here? What is it that you can, garner from this?
See, in US alone, there are about 700,000 patients where our drug will be effective and where no other drug is working. And similarly, India, it is more than 1.1 million patients. Therefore, the opportunity for this molecule is extremely, extremely large. And based on this data, we would be looking for a licensing opportunity sometime middle of early next year. And then we'll see and tell you what happens actually.
Would you be able to hazard a, you've given us some indication, 700,000 patients in the US. Would you be able to hazard a guess on the size of this drug? I mean, it can be a broad range, but
the cost of this drug in US on the current basis of a new drug antibiotic is introduced is roughly about $8,000 to $10,000 per treatment.
Okay. That's the current antibiotics which are used in the US or in an ICU setting.
The newer ones. But your
drug is showing more efficacy.
Far more. There is no comparison. Earlier you used the word, it looks like a miracle drug. It is indeed a miracle drug because it has a breakpoint of 64, which is given for a drug in 100 years.
So basis the numbers that you're talking about, it seems like it could be anywhere between a $5 to $6 billion opportunity in the US alone.
I am not making any comment on this point in time, but I've given the number of incidents as well as the kind of price points there.
Sure. Dr. Khorakiwala, just coming back to that out-licensing opportunity, just based on the kind of statistics that you're providing, I'm interested to know whether pharmaceutical companies have already approached you or not to probably tie up for this particular drug based on the kind of data that you've shown.
To get the optimum value in licensing, it is important that we complete phase 3 clinical trial. That is a major milestone, and when by the time we file to FDA, that is the time we would like to open up and appoint a merchant banker. We are in the process of appointing a merchant banker, and then explore the possibility.
So as of now, there's been no approach. As of now, there's been no pharmaceutical company, say Indian or global, that's approached you for a potential deal on this.
I think a number of pharmaceutical companies had approached us a few years back. And then we had a challenge on valuation, and therefore nothing has happened. Because our perception of the molecule is what actually has come out. And I think we would be better off once we complete the phase 3 clinical trial and then approach them through merchant banker.
Okay. Now, just quickly, before we wrap up this conversation, when are you expecting approval from the DCGI, which is the Indian authorities? And when are you expecting approval from the US FDA? Give us specific timelines of these, because US FDA, you have a QIDP status there as well.
So US FDA, as I mentioned earlier, we expect in early 26 because of QIDP status, and the other countries will be a little later. As far as India is concerned, DCGI has given us a permission to undertake a meropenem-resistant clinical trial in a small number of patients. And this clinical trial also is getting over in next 2-3 months. And then we will be applying to DCGI. And probably we might be able to introduce in India at least about a year ahead of our international foray.
Okay. Just before we wrap up, Dr. Khorakiwala, I wanted to know, what is the downside risk of this particular drug? You've only spoken about the upside. What is the key risk that you're working with on the downside that this entire analysis or situation that you've put out in terms of US FDA approval, DCGI approval, doesn't come through?
I don't believe there is a downside, because in fact this compassionate use is a far more rigorous than the clinical trial we are undertaking have done. So, and the fact that on a 35 patient, we have saved 35 lives, and we had 100% cure rate, and also that the drug was proved very safe for as long as 10 weeks. Now, antibiotics are not generally given for more than 2 weeks. In rare cases, it is given long. Yet some of these patients were so critical, and they were nearly on the deathbed. And therefore, the patient was saved and got a new life. So this is nearly most of the cases we have saved the lives.
All right, take that point. Thank you so much for joining in and giving us the outlook on this drug. Wish you good luck, and more importantly, the medical fraternity because of the number of patients you said who are suffering from this condition may stand to benefit from this drug. 26 months is when you expect it, 26 weeks rather, is when you expect it to be launched. In the next couple of months, you will hear from the trials, the clinical trials which are currently underway in the world right now. The stock seeing a bit of a spike on the comments coming in from Dr. Khorakiwala. Take a short break, come back, get you more on the markets and a lot more stock-specific action.